Welcome to the Evolution of Business show. I'm your host, Dave Clare, and in today's episode, we are interviewing none other than Andrew Priestley, who I also co-authored this cracking little book, The Pandemic Playbook, What to Do When You Haven't Got a Friggin' Clue with. And the reason this is so important is because Andrew started out his career in a printing and publishing business. He was actually taking on Kerry Packer for dominating all of Australia. Now, I think you might work out who won that one, but that was an amazing journey and through business that led Andrew to becoming now one of the UK's top 100 business coaches as he settled in the United Kingdom. And today he's going to take us through his journey of evolution himself and through business and sharing some pearls of wisdom and how values played such a critical role in him building the businesses that he has and in the work that he does with business leaders today. So settle in for an amazing interview with Andrew Priestley.
Welcome to the Evolution of Business podcast. Business is a series of evolutions. This podcast explores how to stay relevant in the hearts and minds of the people you choose to serve. It will look for the lessons and the failures of the past and share the success of those getting it right today. What is the next evolution of your business? Now, here's your host, Dave Clare.
Well, welcome back to the Evolution of Business show. Today's episode, I'm very, very excited to have someone I consider to be a very dear friend of mine who I've built a strong relationship with over the past couple of years now. So much so that we even co-authored a book together, The Pandemic Playbook. In 5 days, Andrew showed me how to get a book done in 5 days. As you know, my first book, Simplified, took me 2 years to produce. So to be able to produce another book in 5 days, that is the caliber of the man that we're going to be talking about with the Evolution of Business show today. But Andrew himself, I'm sure he'll tell you a little bit more. But Andrew is an entrepreneurial leadership mentor. Actually, he's one of the top business mentors and coaches in the UK, as a matter of fact. He's also the best-selling author of 4 books. I don't know if the Pandemic Playbook was one of those 4, but definitely it's worth being a bestseller, as we would agree. Highly in-demand paid speaker. His company, The Coaching Experience, has celebrated 21 years in business coaching and mentoring. So 21 years is not someone who's just been doing this for the last couple of years. It's been 21 years now coaching and mentoring. He's the founder of Leadership Gigs, a global business leadership forum, and he's a visiting lecturer at the Cass London School of Business in entrepreneurial leadership. He's also the chairman of Clear Sky Children's Charity in the UK and an advisor for the Mahler Foundation. Apart from that, his side hustle is publishing books, and if you see him on LinkedIn, you'll notice he is a flavor for cooking. He's always putting up some really cool cooking posts. So without further ado, I'd like to welcome my very good friend, Andrew Priestley, to the Evolution Business show. And just for everyone's confusion, please understand, he's not Jason Priestley's dad. We want to make sure that's very clear. Jason Priestley was a Canadian, so it's, but Andrew, welcome to the Evolution of Business show, mate.
Hey, mate. Hey, I am his dad. I was in Canada.
Damn, all these years you tell me you weren't.
No. I was paid a lot of money to say I'm not. So there you go.
Okay.
Yeah, welcome. Yeah, it's good. Good. That isn't that amazing when you do a bio like that and you say, yeah. I'm gonna tell you. Don't you sound amazing? The reality is I'm just an ordinary guy. I'm a workaday guy just like you, mate.
Yeah, usually when people read out my bio, I just have a chuckle and say, my mother wrote that. Because it sounds like something my mum would write about me, right? So it's not.
Yeah, but at the back of that too, mate. It's you know, you don't end up doing some of that stuff unless you've put in the hard yards and put in hard work, and that you care about people, and you know that's why you get invited to be part of things like the Mahler Foundation, which is taking the legacy of Gustav Mahler globally. I mean, that's it's an amazing thing. Living, a classical music genius, and somebody said, "Would you like to be on the advisory board?" I said, "I'd love to be on that." So
yeah, fantastic.
But that's not it. They didn't do that because they were short of someone. They needed someone. They thought, who can we trust in this roster? It's a really nice compliment, when you get stuff like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the children's charity is just amazing. Just amazing.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And obviously when we wrote the Pandemic Playbook together, which was a fantastic experience working with you, and I learned so much about publishing a book in that. Hey, snap.
Snap.
All the proceeds from this go to that charity. Yeah, I'm covering up me, you cover up Yeah,
I love the back. It says Dave Clare is the top performance coach and business strategist. Andrew Priestley isn't.
Yes, but somehow it works.
But somehow it works. Yeah.
Yeah. Actually, I was showing this to somebody else the other day. I appreciate it's probably not totally, but just having a laugh at the whole pandemic playbook. What to do when you haven't got a frigging clue. The whole concept of it, which we can talk about a little bit later, but obviously books is a big part of your life. Obviously, you and I were, and you'll talk more about the. You introduced me to being privileged to be a part of the Women Leading book as well. So, but mate, tell us. Yeah. So look at us. This is like book club.
Yeah. I'm actually on the other side of the camera here. I'm in the same room as him. Yeah, it's like book club. Yeah.
Yeah. Why don't you just we should have just.
Yeah.
But anyway, so mate, please just give us 5 or 10 minutes. Just give us your how did you get to be where you are today, kind of a thing. And take us on a bit of a journey to how you became the top coach or one of the top coaches in the UK, mentor, business, all this entrepreneur, advisory boards, writing 4 books. Tell me.
Well, I mean, it's a bit of a whistle-stop tour, but mate, I started out as a school teacher, right, in Australia. I did my training and my degree in Victoria, and if you're in Australia, you know where that is. But I did my training at Geelong Teachers College, and I actually taught in rural Victoria for 10 years. And one of the things that I did at university was I majored in reading psychology, and I was interested in not why kids can't read, but why they don't want to. And so I really, I had great mentors like Marva Collins. And if anybody has got kids who've got reading difficulties, look up Marva Collins, because she was my mentor. She was just unbelievable, right? Wow. She's an American, but she wrote an amazing book. But I followed, here I was in the middle of nowhere in Victoria, thinking, how do I get a whole bunch of kids to read? And so that's what I studied, and then I had great mentors as well. I was also playing in a band, and I was also surfing, right?
Wow.
And
what instrument or
guitar, right?
The triangle.
Yeah. And
guitar. Wow.
And I play guitar, and piano, but guitar mainly. But when I was at university, I started the student newspaper because I was in the inaugural year of Deakin University, which was a great university, and we started a newspaper called The Planet. And for some reason, ink got into my veins, and it had always been something I'd loved doing. So when I wrapped up 10 years as a school teacher, I took long service leave, and I started an entertainment newspaper. Actually started a surfing newspaper first.
Wow.
And then I started an entertainment newspaper. And I actually took 3 months off, and I went up to Queensland, which is, if you don't know it, it's the top end of Australia, which is subtropical. And I actually went into competition with Rupert Murdoch, and it was an entertainment lifestyle magazine, right? Just so you know, Rupert won, all right?
Okay.
He won that. I don't think I even made a dint, but it was an incredible thing.
Coach, right?
No, he didn't ask that. He coached me, believe it or not, which was fabulous. But I had 15 or so staff. He had 65 to 100 staff doing the same job. So I was punching way above my weight. And this little magazine I did was so successful. It was really successful, but it almost killed me, right? Because I was working 12 to 14-hour days, 7 days a week. And I stupidly resigned from teaching. And after 3 months, I hated it. I absolutely hated it. Because it was just, because I started this because I wanted a great lifestyle, right? I wanted a really good lifestyle and a 6-figure income. And actually, I started because I wanted a 6-figure income and a great lifestyle.
Yeah.
And the lesson I learnt was, in later years, I switched that around. So I want a great lifestyle with a 6-figure income. And I started out, I want a 6-figure income with a great lifestyle. Well, I got the 6-figure income.
Yeah.
Right? In the end,
can you just say one more time, because that's such an important lesson right there in itself. Because you got to be very careful what you ask for. You just might get it. When you make money the object, you do whatever it is to make money, and that can put everything else into sacrifice. So can you just give me that, just for the audience, one more time, please? Just say that.
Yeah. Again. Well, see, my goal was I'd grown up around things like self-help and people like listening to things like Zig Ziglar and all those sort of guys, right?
He's my hero, man. He's the guy who got me into public speaking. I want to tell you about.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I grew up listening to those sort of things, and things like I read, like everyone, Napoleon Hill, but But, I had people like Jim Rohn and guys like that, then Tony Robbins came out. So I was pretty fired up about that. And I thought, what can I do around this publishing thing? And for me, doing a newspaper was the easiest thing to do. But the goal was, at the heart of a lot of that stuff is you can make the money you want to make. Right? There was a guy, Jim Colson, if you ever remember him. You can make the money you want to make, right? And it was max out your credit cards, but go for it. It was that sort of stuff, right?
Yeah.
I don't know what happened to Jim Colson, but a really interesting guy.
Probably went bankrupt.
I'm sure he did. A lot of people hated him. I know that at the end.
Maxed out his credit cards and couldn't afford to pay his bills.
Massive debt. Ironically, mate, I wrote a book years later called The Money Chimp in 2016. It's how to manage your money, and the strapline is spend less, save more, get out of credit card debt as fast as you can.
Yeah, great.
Yeah, but anyway.
So just give me that saying again. So
that saying was So I wanted a 6-figure income and a nice lifestyle, right? Because I thought, you get the 6-figure income, you'll fund the nice lifestyle. That was the logic, and that is so many people I coach today. If it's an if-then proposition, if I get the money, then I can have the lifestyle, right? Well, I got the money, right? But I didn't have the lifestyle, and at that time, I thought the insight I had was I started this business. I want to run a business so I could have this thing, but I thought are you running the business or is the business running you?
Yeah.
Right. And for me, the business was running me. And it came to a head where I got the opportunity to sign up a massive client, big in the entertainment industry, right? Big client. And they said, the meeting's at 2. Can you be here? And I said, yeah, what time? They said 2 a.m. And it was at a nightclub. And I remember my wife said, you're crazy. Why do you want to go to a nightclub? At that time, it was probably criminality, money laundering, drugs, prostitution, alcohol, cigarettes. She said, why do you want to go do that? Why do you want to put our family in that sort of environment? Right?
Yep.
And I said, yeah, but I need the money. The money's good. So I had that moment where I'm driving into Brisbane. And if people know Brisbane, there's a thing called the Hornibrook Bridge, which is massively long. It's like that bridge in True Lies, it's like that, right?
The Florida Keys. See, I do that True Lies reference. That's Arnie. I love that.
Isn't that a great movie? Yeah. And short story is, have you ever had a moment, Dave, where you go, God, I've had this argument with my wife. What am I doing? So I turn the car around and I'm going home, right? Yep. And then I'm going, but what about the money? What about the money, Andrew? So I turn the car around and I'm going back in but these are people you're supposed to love, and why are you arguing with them? And so I turn the car around again. Go home, you idiot. So I'm going home. But what about the money? It's a lot of money. Turn the car. Honestly, Dave, I'm turning the car around the 7th time. I pull the car over on the middle of the Hornibrook Bridge to the side safely. And it's probably 1:30 in the morning. I get out of the car. I'm sitting on the bonnet of the car. It's a hot night. And I think I wept for about 40 minutes. I was so frustrated. I'm weeping, and I can't tell you what it was like. It was one of those things where it was just, I came to the crossroads of money and values there, right? And I said, this is crackers, right? You just had an argument with someone you love. You don't see your kids. You're overweight. You're out of shape. The things that you started this for, what were they even? Do you even remember why you started this business, to get this lifestyle? Remember, know what your lifestyle wants to look like? And I thought, Andrew, go home. So I went home. Yep. And a week later, I shut that whole business down. And, I had to eyeball all of those stuff and say, it's not working for me, guys. It's no texting people, we're finished. I eyeballed every single one of them.
Yeah.
And then I started a family-friendly business after that. And so I could take my kids to school. I could pick them up after school. I could take them to sports things. And I just, I flipped it over. So instead of I want a 6-figure income and a great lifestyle, I said I want a great lifestyle and a 6-figure income. I didn't water the money thing down, but I said I'm not going to get the money at the sacrifice of lifestyle. So that's where it went. So I created a little agency. I hadn't forgot print. I hadn't forgot how to do copywriting and stuff like that. And look, this is one of the little first efforts I did. I pulled this out. Look at me in 19.
Wow. You look like Jason Priestley. You must be.
I do, yeah, don't I? But this book, I put everything I'd learned about running a successful newspaper into this little book, right?
Yeah.
And it was a marketing book. There's me on my daughter's little clay plasticines. You know, those little table and chair sets.
Yeah,
that the
yeah,
kids
yeah,
have.
absolutely.
Yeah, so I've got that. And, you know, to me, I love that shot. It was symbolic that I wanted to, instead of big myself up, I just remember you're a big guy on a little chair, right?
Yep.
And just get a bit of grounding here. But I can't believe I charged $495 for this book.
Wow.
And it just sold. Look, that's all it is, right? But
Jeez.
people made so much money out of this little book.
Yeah. Wow.
Right? Because the ideas were really, really, really good. And I thought, so publishing really works, right? Out of that, a mate came along and he said, really quickly, he said, I love your agency. Can we merge? So I did that. Again, family friendly, really good values. I then left that. I got poached into another agency. I built that up. We won lots of awards. And then I think I went through the third round of doing that. And then by that stage, we won a lot of awards. I'd taken an agency from 370,000 turnover up to 1.8 million. And people were saying, God, how do you do this? And they were asking about, how come that's so successful? And so I was spending more time having coffees with people about, how to get a good team and how to run a business. And a mate said, I think you'd make a good business coach. I said, what's a business coach? And he said, you pretty much mentor people in how to run a business, right? So Dave, you and I both know people who are business coaches who've never run a business.
Yep.
Never built a business, never employed people, never had to pay payroll.
Nope.
They've never had to sack anybody. They've never had to go to court and pay someone out who was shafting them, right? Who just po-faced lied about what was happening. They've never had to do all that sort of stuff.
You just described my whole career for the past 20 years.
Exactly, yeah. And then what I found was a lot of times I was talking to people about values. Why did you start this business? What did you want? Why did you wake up? Did you actually achieve that? And so people started to have these, do you like turning up to work and people hate you? And, I had a guy, Pete, who I saw and I said, mate, here's the truth. Your wife doesn't like you and your kids hate you, mate. Do you want to fix that? And he said, yeah, I'd love to. And I said, and nobody at work likes you either, if you want to know, right? Do you want to fix that? And so I started out doing this business coaching thing, and it was like instantly I was on six figures easily. I was in the top 2% of fee earners on the planet, right, from the get-go.
Wow.
And people are going, how did you do that? And it was just, hard work. It was doing your stuff. It was like you do, mate. It's you do your research. You don't show up stupid. You actually do. Like, look at the way you introduce this. You've done your homework. You know about the person you talk to. So I just do, but I cared about people. And then it just developed from there. So I started the coaching experience. I actually started with somebody else's coaching platform, which I really liked. But I also had done a psych degree. I went back and did a psych degree in industrial organizational psych. And I majored in abnormal psychology. And because I was dealing with a lot of stress, and I wrote a paper, and I was trying to find it, but I wrote a paper for Australia, and I don't know if this is true big on your heart, but it's true on mine. I've always had a heart for the welfare of children, and in regional Australia, we're in a country where we've had, when I was there, 7 years of drought, and you're on the land, and suicide was the major way that for most farmers could think of exiting their debts from banks, right? So I wrote a paper on how to give help to people under immense stress in the regional, who at that time there was no internet, couldn't go online and get the help you needed. So I wrote a paper on that, on how to get that help you need. And so immediately that got the attention of a lot of government people. So I started coaching high-end compliance, and so I cut my teeth in life and limb environments, and I developed a theory about how leadership works, particularly, and that's been robust. I developed a profiling tool that goes with that, and a way of coaching people in a leadership space that has turned into the coaching experience. It's about your experience. What's your experience of business? I'm going to coach you on your experience. That's really what I was looking at. What's your experience of life? And it's evolved from that.
And that's awesome. And so now you obviously have the coaching experience, but you have a bunch of associates in your business now that license
Yeah,
your work,
it's
or
one of those things that floats. It's at one page I had 13 associates worldwide. I think I'm down to about 2 at the moment, but it goes up and down. People come in, and I don't lock people into any relationship at all, Dave. If you feel, look, this isn't working for, I know people who, when you get into their coaching environment, they stitch you up.
Yep.
And you exit owing money and insolvent. That's not me. I said, look, if it's not working for you and you're feeding your family, if people steal your ideas, I said, look, are you feeding your family? Yep, mate, I'm not going to chase you. Right? Life sorts them out.
I'm always copyright to me is, if you're going to copy it, at least just copy it right.
Yeah, I love it.
Just, you're going to copy my stuff that I've, and like anything, you'd be no different to me, Andrew. Like, we like, even in the back of my book, I put the Bernard of Charteris, which is the standing on the shoulder of giants, where that whole quote came from. Is, you and I, like, it's what we've learned generationally from all those Ziglers, the Jim Rohns, and just no different to Tony Robbins and all these guys. So, there's nothing. I always said, like, success principles, depending on your beliefs in that, but from the Bible to the Greek philosophers, none of the core principles have really changed any much over the past 2,000 years, nor has the process for human behavior. It's just everybody's spin on it. So, obviously there's models and tools and things like that. Yeah. If you're going to copy it, at least copy it right. That's it.
And look, a lot of my philosophy, mate, is picked up in this picture, right?
Yeah.
Right. That's how most people do life. They've got this amazing machine pointed the wrong way, right? You press a button on that, it's a big disaster. And we're building something amazing, but it's not designed the way you want it. And like, I've been on industrial sites where they go, oh my God, how did I miss that?
I've been on that actual site where you're showing, which is a picture of the space shuttle upside down at Cape Canaveral. So
it's amazing, isn't it?
Yeah. Actually, we were sitting at Titusville, Florida, at a nice Mexican restaurant there when the very last shuttle ever took off. So I remember that as a Canadian. Please, but hey, I was just happened to be down in America at the time. But it was just amazing to watch it across the water and watch that last space shuttle ever take off. At least that one was in the right direction. Yeah.
Isn't that amazing to be part of history too? I remember watching Man land on the moon. As a kid doing that. So. Here's something I want to throw at people, right? The metaphors that you and I talk about is, we talk about the rocket age. It's escape velocity, it's thrust, it's takeoff, it's blah, blah, blah. The problem I have with a lot of people coming through now in the leadership space, their metaphor is the electric car. And they talk about range anxiety. Am I going to get there? Am I going to run out of power before I get there? And it's a whole different way of thinking. I loved ours was Mach 2. It was Jaeger, Chuck Jaeger, Mach 2 with your hair on fire. We want to go somewhere. Whereas it's, will we get there? Or will we going to get there? Well, look, we want to know. We want to know it's all done and dusted, so that before we even set off.
Yeah. Whereas sometimes, like, it is funny when so let's play with electric cars for a second and talk about evolution of business and evolution of life. So when you think about those people, back when Henry Ford invented the first combustion engine, he didn't sit there and go, oh my God, what happens if we run out of fuel?
No, there was fuel was around then, was it? It was only just coming in.
He had to make fuel for the combustion engine, right? So they had to, so they had to create an infrastructure for the vehicle to be able to drive here. Then we create another petrol station here, and so for electric cars, same thing. As we're rolling these electric cars, well, then there's no infrastructure for it. Well, that'll follow, right? So if you're too worried about, are we going to get there, instead of thinking, what do we need to build to keep moving forward?
Yeah, and the important point is, where are we going anyway?
Yeah, where are we going anyway? 100%.
Where are we going with this? Where are you taking this? So a lot of people, some basic questions. When I do a lot of strategy work, right? And again, because we're talking about books, mate, I wrote a book called Starting, right? Yep. And it was written at the time of the global financial crisis. And the argument was, you and I grew up with, you need a business plan. And yet I looked at research around the world. If a business plan worked, then why does 78%, right, of people with a business plan fail? Yeah. Right? Not just people without a business. This is just people who have a business plan. Why do they still fail? 78%. And the idea behind that is, whatever you're doing is based on a set of assumptions, right? So have you stress tested? If you even identified the assumptions. So that first business I had was based on a bunch of assumptions that were never stress tested. So a guy called Dave Robson and myself, we actually wrote a thing called Success in 80 Days. And the 80 days was to stress test the assumptions under your business. But it was so clunky. And Dave now does this for government departments where they actually have the people to actually stress test something. Very successful. I just did it for SMEs, which is, you know, the strap line is you might have a good idea for a business, but have you got a good business for the idea? Right? And I put in a workshop with 8 questions, and Dave's a VC. It's the 8 questions that VCs ask. If you said, can I invest in your business? A VC will very quickly go, show me your business plan, now let me ask you. And they'll ask you about 8 key questions. So I put that in this book. Nothing's held back. There is no bump. There's no upsell. Everything that I wanted to tell you is in that book. If you just did but the thing is, Dave, will people do the workshop? Will people actually open up and answer those questions? You know, just take the time. Do one a day, one a week. And you'll have a very different business. And you talk about evolution. Where's the business going? Answering those questions, you might find, shoot, my business evolves into something I hadn't even thought of.
Yeah, and you know what? That's probably what a lot of people need to be thinking right now, because I'm a firm believer that the business you're not in yet could be way bigger than the one you are. You just don't know it yet.
Yeah.
You know?
Or you know what? Or it could be a smaller business that you love.
Yeah.
That delivers more money.
Yeah, well, way bigger. I mean, in terms of results it produces, it doesn't have to be the physically bigger business, right? And or it could be a business that's much easier to manage, a business that you find more joy in. It could be any of those things that, but you just don't realize it. And the thing with the books, and to your point there, and I wrote it. The opening was one of my clarisms in the opening of my book is, no one's ever lost 20 pounds after reading a book on weight loss.
Yes, exactly.
Right, you got to do the work. It doesn't, you know, Gary Vee will tell you all day long today, these days. You and I've been saying it for years. You don't do the work, you don't get the results.
That's how it works. The best business book on the planet, folks, is this is the one I think you should buy. Right, The Little Red Hen.
The Little Red Hand.
It's a kid's book. It's called The Little Red Hen. You read that. That is the best business book you will ever read. The Little Red Hen. I want to make a loaf of bread. Who will help me grow the wheat? Not I, said the fox. Not I, said the cat. Not I. Well, I'll do it myself.
Right.
Who's going to help me do this? Not I. They all keep refusing. When the bread is baked, who's going to help me eat it? I will. No.
Yeah.
You didn't put in.
Yeah.
See, most people I know, hardworking, and they start off on a journey and they put in the hard yards. They put in the hard yards. And there's a lot of people. You and I know a lot of people, a lot of shonkies in our industry, who say, don't do the hard work, come in through the side door, come in through the back door.
Yeah.
That's not how it works. Not how it works.
Yeah,
people who've done an apprenticeship.
Genius.
It's an insult to the people who've done the apprenticeship, who've done the hard yards. Total insult to them.
Yeah, and there's in a lot of industries, not even just ours, the snake oil salespeople and the what I call all style, no substance. They're just great marketers, and hey, whatever, but it doesn't do any good for the industry, which is why, like I said, when you're going to copy it, just copy it right. I have an abundance mindset. If that person is going to be doing great work and, has experience to add to that and can do the work behind it, man, I'm all for it. And I have no problem sharing ideas with people, because I know 99% of the people or more will do nothing with it anyway.
But you know what? It's the mindset of someone who takes your ideas and technically steals them, right? Yeah. They call it borrowing, or it's a tribute act to your ideas. Do a tribute act to an homage to your ideas. Exactly. Yeah. But look, if you watch what happens, most of them never work out anyway. They don't work out because they don't have your experience, they don't have your knowledge, they don't have your ethos, they don't have your values. So I say, look, take all my stuff and use it. I know they're going to go, and every time someone's done that to me, I just sit and wait and I see where it heads off. Yep. And one guy I know someone very, very famous in our industry, mate, who actually, there's 2 guys that I have absolute respect for, and they had trained up a whole lot of young guns underneath them. One of them ripped off their ideas, created a thing, but he's built a monster. And I look at his life and I think, mate, oh mate, you built yourself a golden prison. Okay, so you got all the money, but look at your life, mate. Look at, when you put your head on your pillow at night, you sleep with you. You know whether you did a good job or not, right?
The only person you can't lie to is yourself, mate.
Well, he's tried to do a good job at that, but it catches up with you.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And, and I think that's, yeah, and even from a business perspective, someone can take your business, your printing business, whatever, for example, set up bricks and mortars across the road, same colors, brand, everything like that, but the same advertising, same copy, same print,
Yep,
but
yep.
does not mean they will succeed at the same level that you did. And this is really important for business people to understand. The one who wins is the ability to capture the spirit of your people. And whoever can capture that, because you can't copy culture, you can't copy experience, you can't copy the talent. You can put all the bricks and mortars and all the paint and all the bells and whistles, but it does not constitute the fact that you're going to have the same success. And this is even the same when it comes to benchmarking and best practice. So people say, look, let's just go find the best practice and start doing that. I said, well, that best practice was best practice for them in that market at that time with their people, with their thing. So it's not to say we can't learn from it, but don't expect that just because it was best practice for them, it will be best practice for you.
No, that's right. And like look, there's just silly little stories, but I had a client who, he had 60 staff, right? And he's done exactly what you described, templated everything and copied it, right? And I said, you got 60 staff here. Are they happy? I said, I don't feel it when I come in. There's no love in the game. Working here is, the thing is, ask your employees, working here is, it's like in the real estate industry. So real estate agents are, finish the question, right? And, or, like salespeople are, finish the question. And you see there's no love in the game, right? The answer's they're pushy, they're this, they're snake. Look at the word reference, they're snake oil guys. It's like they're all these derogatory references, right? Working here is, finish the sentence. So we did a poll with these guys. There's no love in the game, right? And I said, let me show you really something simple. I said, you've got 60 people who work for you. Get a photo of everyone who works with you, with their family and their kids. Put all those photos up behind you. Take all those stupid, those lighthouse photos with the waves crashing against all that crap,
With the leadership written underneath it. And
leadership, I said, just
climbing the mountain, going motivation.
Yeah. I said, get rid of all that crap. Put up all the photos of everybody who works for you, right? And just build a wall of everyone who works for it. I said, every time you make some stupid decision, that's how many people get impacted. So think of it this way. The little agency I built, 7 staff. If you think of it, they've got a husband or a wife or a partner, maybe 2 kids. 7 people, that's 28 people that hang off that business. If you look at your suppliers and their families. So my people go home and they go, oh, Andrew, he was such a dick today. Man, oh man. And they're now arguing with their partner. I think I should leave. Now they're worried. That's when you in a leadership role, when you're like that, that's how many people get impacted. And I've seen that on mining sites, for example, right? I asked a question when I worked in high-end compliance. I chucked out everything I knew about leadership, right? Because all the textbook stuff didn't work. When I got onto life and limb environments, I would say, who do you admire on this site in the leadership role? Who do you admire? Who do you trust? Who do you respect? Who would you follow? And why?
Yeah.
And it had nothing to do with they're charismatic, they're confident, they're this, they're that. The principles that came out were the same 5 all the time. And, you talk about leadership. When I'm talking about leadership at Cass London School of Business, I'm talking about what is good leadership, for example. So we're talking about how to evolve that. Here's a really whistle-stop tour of that. Good leaders on particularly life and limb industries, they know what's happening.
Yeah.
You know what's happening, right? In your own business, folks, do you know what's happening? People. This is why awareness is such a big tool. I'm not talking about navel gazing. We talk about intelligence is knowing stuff. But I know how I feel about what's happening. I know how I want to respond to what's happening. My awareness is working really well. So most of the people I coach, they know what's going on. They're just ignoring that awareness.
Yeah.
Right. That's the first one. Second, like me, I got a great meeting, making all the money, but terrible lifestyle. Right. Second one is, can you communicate that awareness? So on a mining site, that doesn't look good. I speak to the guys about it.
Yeah.
I open my mouth up and speak. And so they said, oh, Frank, he knows what's going on, man. You never left in any doubt what he thinks about something. He'll always tell you. And you respect that? Yeah, totally. Even if we're wrong, it's because safety is involved.
That's right.
Right?
Is pure.
Third one is brokers' good agreements. What are you going to do? What am I going to do? Did you agree to this? Yep. Yes. So you clear on what you agreed to? Yep. Boom. Agreements. They negotiate great agreements. So with my people in the agency, I know what's going on. This is how we do it. This is the standard we go to. Do you agree?
Yeah.
Yeah. If you don't agree, come and tell me. Knock on my door and tell me, you know how we said that? I don't agree with that. Well, great. Let's talk about that. Right?
Yeah.
Communication. Right. Fourth one, accountable. Hold you accountable. Did you agree to this or not? So what I would see people in, like Frank's thing, if something went wrong, he'd say, did you agree to that or not? Yeah. Well.
Yeah. Well, mate, absolutely. Where else? They got nowhere else to go.
And at that level, mate, when a leader asks a question, and this is one thing I talk to a lot of leaders about, right? When a leader asks a question, it's not to get information. They already know the answer, right? It's to get accountability.
Yep.
Right? So I ask questions of people. I don't care what the answer is. I want to drive accountability. Who cares what the answer is? That's what I pay you to do. It's strategic, not operational. That's what I'm paying you to do. If I have to think about it, one of us is redundant.
Yeah.
Right? And then the last one is they adjust. Yeah. And so I saw so many times where if it went well, the guy would go, why did it go well? Why did we go well? Why did we go well?
Yeah.
What did I do well as a leader, but how was that translated to the team? How did we do that well? And if it didn't go well, what did I do wrong? How did I contribute to this? And there's that ownership. And I see, particularly on a life and limb environment, right? You've got to say, why did that go wrong? You know, why didn't that work? Why was someone put in danger? They're big questions. But I just dialed all of that sideways into normal business coaching and said, okay, they're the same principles, same 5 things. Do you know what's happening in your business? Do you communicate that? Who do you need to communicate to? What agreements have you got with yourself and your team and your customers and stakeholders? Are you driving that accountability? And do you fix it when it's not going right? And you leverage off it and evolve it if it is going really well?
Yeah. Yeah.
That was pretty much.
It doesn't get much simpler than that. That's a great process, though, from a leadership point of view. And, once again, as you know, I did for 4 months, studied 25 business owners, leaders in their kitchen, in their engine rooms. And of the 4 common challenges they all had, the number 2 was a lack of accountability across the organization. So accountability is always an issue. But for me, the interesting part from an accountability, and we're going to jump into some questions in a minute, but is I always say leaders, well, if you want more accountability from your people, how are you showing more accountability to your people? Because it's great to say, I want them to be more accountable to me. Well, how are you, make sure you're very clear on how you're being accountable, how you're presenting accountability to them in terms of what you're doing.
And just if you're seeing stuff and you're not saying anything about it, like that rocket's upside down and you don't speak up. It's, there it is right there. There's accountability where the rubber meets the road, mate. Right? That's what I'm seeing. Yeah. Well, you're standing next to the head engineer. Would you say something? Hey, why is the rocket upside down? Or would you sit there and go, professional courtesy? Oh, if I say something, he'll get upset or she'll get upset.
Yeah.
See?
I'm going to wait to see if I hear the reversing signal first. Beep, beep, beep. The rocket backs up off the thing and then...
But here's the thing. A sensible person would say, why is the rocket like that? And the guy said, look, we've invented reverse thrust engineering. It's a lot safer to take it off, but we haven't shown the public that because of the Space Shuttle Challenger collapse. Yeah. But it works. We just haven't shown the world that yet. Or you go, no, that doesn't sound right. Or if the guy said, no, this is only in maintenance mode. It's got an aperture on the back and it revolves back into launch position once we've done the safety work. Yeah. Right? Oh, yeah, that makes sense to me. Right?
Yeah, we've got it upside down so the fuel doesn't leak out.
Exactly. But if you don't ask the question.
Yeah, I know, 100%. Yeah.
And you should ask the question.
That's right. It's knowing the question or having a question. And this is where, once again, if you just think it's the right question and you have the right environment in your organization that allows people to challenge or question in a respectful, professional way, you should want to embrace that because it's a chance to help coach somebody or close the gap, or they just might go, holy crap, you saw something that we didn't see. Thank you.
Well, think of it like this. Most people that you and I talk to, in making tough decisions, they call about symmetrical and asymmetrical choices, right? Most people you and I talk to make symmetrical choices. We've seen it before. We know what it is. We sort of know how to fix it, right? Yep. But if you're in, say, a military situation or you're a firefighter or essential services, a lot of times you're going into asymmetrical situations where you don't know what it is or why it happened. So I had a guy who was in the military who's going down this back alleyway in Afghanistan, and he said, I don't know what it is, didn't even know the question. He says, it just doesn't feel right, so pull back. Right? Now, when we later reverse engineered, why did you do that? The subconsciously picked up the problem long before his conscious mind had actually registered, right?
Yeah.
But most people you and I deal with don't have to deal with asymmetrical situations. No. So most of what we're dealing with is pretty much we've seen it before, or we got a sense of it. So I can pretty much say, how do you feel about that? You know, what's going on? How do you feel about it? How do you want to respond to that? And they've pretty much got an answer. But are they willing to actually do the work and stop and pause? And that's where coaching gives you that reflection space. How do I want to do this? Is this crazy? Is my life crazy? I knew the answer on the bridge. Go home.
Yeah.
Go home.
So you have
It's
internal
no-brainer.
No. Yeah.
You know, here's the thing. I'll throw this in there. When I've worked with a lot of very successful men, right? And I know the difference between successful men and really successful men in business. Do you want to know the difference?
I know you've told me before, so.
Yeah. Successful men talk about their business and why they're doing it for their family, for their kids, right? Their wife rarely gets a mention. Right? Really successful men talk about their wife, their kids, and then their business, and in that order. And I just go, yes, it's going to be a great coaching gig, because they said talk about their family, their wife particularly, then their family, then their business. And the ones that I know are going to have the trouble, it's all about business. Oh, I'm doing it for the kids. Wife doesn't even get a mention, or their partner doesn't get a mention. You know, and we flip that. There's your values clash right there. So we flip that around. Right?
I wonder if women are the same. What about successful business women? Do they talk about their spouse or their partner, then their kids, then their business, or do you find them?
No, they just say, "I'm amazing. Men are what?" No,
No, come on now.
No, they talk about that. They talk about, you know, most women in leadership, you know, they're tough. But they have a concern for their people. Most women I've coached in senior leadership have a concern for the people in the business.
Yeah.
To start with, you know. Yeah. And they're looking for that. Yeah, which, you know, men can learn from that, I think.
Oh, 100%. All right. So let's talk about some key questions here that I ask all my guests, sure. Andrew. Growth versus evolution. What's your perspective on growing your business and evolving your business?
Okay, so for me, grow versus evolution goes to the question is, why did I start the business in the first place? For example, if there's 4 reasons why you start a business. You started it because you want a great lifestyle, nothing wrong with that. Or you want to create a great legacy, nothing wrong with that. Or I've started a business because I wanted to exit. So I started that business because I wanted Rupert Murdoch to buy it.
Yep.
Or I start a business because I want licenses and royalties and ongoing revenues out of that, or even if I get a dividend out of it. Those are 4 separate reasons for starting a business, right?
Yeah. And
you can grow towards that. So if your business isn't growing, you're either flatlining and at risk of stagnating and stalling. So you've got to grow. But you don't grow just for the sake of growing. You say, well, where are we going with this? So for a lot of my leaders, it's, you know, I do charity work. It's okay, are we solving meaningful problems? Is the business set up to solve meaningful problems on the planet? Are we making a difference to the world or our world? And that evolves over time because, you know, as you get older, your values change and shift. And we figure stuff out value-wise. I say do the values work at the start of the game and then measure your evolution against your values.
Yes.
So for me, it was always about, everyone I work with is a workaday guy just like me. They have a family to look at. So if nothing else, let's create the lifestyle game that you want so that you've got at least that part working for you, right? But your evolution might be, I want to create something so I can exit. I know a lot of people who create a business they can't exit from, right?
Yeah.
And they haven't evolved enough to go, you know, I'm actually the handbrake on the future of this business. Step out of the way. You know? I don't know if that answers it, but
no, it's good. There's no
evolution for me is more about values. Growth is just about, you know, we're hitting targets, which you've got to. They're important, but
yeah. So one of the things that I look, you know, growing is like doing more with more. It's like more of what you're already doing for more of the people you're doing it for. And, you know, you're either green or growing, or you're ripe and rotting, and, you know, all those wonderful things. But what we've seen, especially here in Australia over the past decade or so, especially with the construction boom in mining and everything like that, and, you know, that also when that all ended and plateaued out, is everyone who's growing their business and bringing all this capital and equipment, everything like that, also didn't have the work. And so, because the market had swung this way, and they weren't ready for it. So, you know, and if you look at all the businesses the big businesses of the past, all the way up to Toys R Us, Roger David, even here in Australia, Vogue magazine, they didn't make the transformations, the transcending to digital, whatever it was.
No.
We can go through the Netflix, the Ubers, all the things that put all the other businesses at risk or out of business. Because evolution is all about staying relevant in the hearts and minds of the people that you choose to serve. Because why you do what you do won't change, but how and what you do can and will change. So if you're just growing, doing the same way that you've always done it for the same people you've always done it, and they say they want it this way or they don't realize, but someone else goes, hey, we can do it this way, well, you've become irrelevant or you've grown into obscurity and fade away into the sunset. So it's really important.
Here's a great example of that, mate. And it's not my story, but I know someone who bounced off this story and copied it, right, for all the right reasons. There was a guy who had a menswear store, right? And people could come in and out of the store and stuff like that, right? And he realized, we're growing that business. We've got to put on more staff. But what do people want when they come in? And when you and I go and buy a suit, I don't want to be buying, an $800 suit and someone says, excuse me, where are the socks? $10 pair of socks.
Yeah.
And so the guy says, just a moment, Andrew, I'll go off and serve this guy with the $10 socks. So his thing was, what my customers actually want is they want a one-to-one experience. So he did it by appointment only. Which is like the tailors that they've got in London. You go in there, you've got to book a time. So he changed it to an appointment only. That business quadrupled.
Yeah.
Because when you go in there, you've got a 90-minute slot. It's just you. Right?
Yeah.
And I know someone through COVID who's done exactly that with sports goods, sportswear, shoes. Yeah. It's by appointment only.
Yeah.
Right. And suddenly their business has gone incredible during COVID because they evolved. Okay, what is it? Their thing was, what do they actually want here? So you don't have to be a big business, and you can say, what's really going on? Pay attention, what's really going.
Yeah,
evolve it that way.
Yeah, but those people then were staying relevant in the hearts and minds of the people that they choose to serve.
Exactly,
and that to me is the key to evolution.
And more so relevant.
Yeah, absolutely. And how do they continue to stay relevant in that space then as well, right?
Yeah, totally.
So for me, that's really important differentiation. Not that you shouldn't grow your business, you do, but make sure that evolution is the natural state first, and then grow, and then evolve, grow and evolve, grow and evolve, because most people just grow and don't evolve, that's when their business is over. To me, it's like a bucket with a small hole in the bottom of it. Andrew, empties just as much as one that's deliberately kicked over, right? Just takes longer. Yeah. So I think this pandemic right now has gone and kicked a lot of people's buckets over. So all right, so talk to me then about, from an evolution point of view, what do you think, if you go back in through your life, the last evolution of you, when you think about your own evolution, where talk to me about what you could see as your most significant or biggest evolution yourself as a leader or as a person even.
Yeah, I would say I've already talked about one, which was that crossroads moment on values, right? So it was the evolution for me is, why am I doing it? It was those real heart thing where I actually wrote, why did I start this business? Why am I doing this for? Who am I doing it for? What am I trying to achieve? Those things. Yep. But for me, a big evolution right at the start was around values. What are your values? What's your highest values? Are you working to those, right? And I mean, Tony Robbins does some great stuff on values, but I'm talking about, if there was an Australian Tony Robbins, they would say, mate, what's really going on? What are you really doing this for? There's a sort of a more of a reality, a grounded. So you're looking for that real, and sometimes people can't do that unless they get a coach. They need a coach who's going to really push back and challenge them, right? So I don't get hired for a warm, fuzzy intellectual chat. So the second, I think another thing for me was, I know how to make money. Right, that's not a problem. That grow a business. I know how to build businesses. I know how to turn the money tap on. Yeah. Okay, but what's that for? What's the purpose of that? Right? What's the greater purpose of that? And so, for me, something that's never left me is that I have a real heart for the welfare of children. Right. So, the welfare of my own children was at the heart of my decision. I'm not being a good dad. Right? Not being a good husband or a good dad. So I started with my own family. How's my own family doing? And so my values built around trying to work around family lifestyle. But, the welfare of children, for me, a natural evolution for me is, how do I get this business? And I've got it to a point where I was chatting with someone the other day who I said, you've built the most amazing marketing pipeline right, that delivers so many amazing D-class clients to your business, right? And they just run you ragged, right?
Yep.
Whereas I said, okay, evolution for me was make better choices, start thinking better choices. So it was, who do I want to work with? Or, yeah, but they might not have the money, but that's who I want to work with. So go find out how to get those people on board. So, for example, I work with people who don't need convincing, they need a coach. They want distinctions, not help. They don't want me to come in and teach them stuff. They want me to go and mentor them and help them to talk through their issues. Now, that means for me to do charity work, I've got to get the time from somewhere. So I got rid of C and D class clients, and I just looked at what do I need to do to get A class clients on a nice value and have a high referral business. And my business, my evolution was stop being a world domination plan, become a boutique. So the evolution for me was to go to boutique, not to replication, right? The associate's there, but it's not the main game. So subsequently, I've ended up with a way of attracting A-class clients and having a lot of time to do the charity work, go do stuff and to build that charity up and you think, well, how am I doing good in the planet here, right? And I think that for me, that's an evolution, but it's a personal journey. It's how I'm evolving. You know, I don't want to go at the end of it, well, I made a lot of money.
Yeah,
that's just a given. I'm going to make a lot of money anyway, right?
Yep.
I've lost 2 businesses and I've started again.
The bridge again.
No.
Got to do a U-turn on the bridge again if you do. You might have already answered the next question, which is, one of the most biggest or significant evolutions in your own business. I mean, you talked about your life, and then you did move into the way you shifted your clientele and who you wanted to work with. Would you say that is the most significant business evolution for you?
For me, it is, yeah. But it's not if you think that's the thing, you'll miss the point. The point is to be selective. It's anyone listening to this. You're saying you're always making choices and decisions, but you're making them. And what are you basing those choices on? And if it's just I've got to make money, well, there's millions of ways to make money, right? And sometimes it's not in a course. It's actually by showing up as a genuine, real person and just finding a nice, elegant way to talk to people who that is relevant to.
Yeah.
So I don't need a lot of clients each year. I really don't.
No. Sometimes how you make money is far more important than how much money you make.
Yeah. Great distinction. Yeah.
Yeah, and then who you like to me. Like I'm very clear on the types of people that I choose to serve. That's why I say, staying relevant in the hearts and minds of the people that you choose to serve, not that you serve, because you have a choice to who you want to work with.
Totally. And a lot of people behave as if they have no choice.
That's right. You don't have to sell to everybody. And I even say with people when it comes to discovering their purpose for their organization beyond making money, or beyond their own reason for having a business, what's the purpose of the business? And I think, well, I don't want to be Elon Musk and accelerate the advent of a sustainable transportation of the world. So you don't have to. Your world, however you define your world, could be your local market, your industry, your demographic, your geographic. It could be whatever that is, your world. And when you start making being relevant in the hearts and minds of people in that world, you'll shift the world anyway. Don't worry about it.
And look, my brother had exactly this moment where he said, he's a chef, right? And he's a chef to celebrities and they want to eat good food. And he said, you know what? I'm not going to, if I have to cook meat, and he's a vegetarian, if I have to cook meat, it's going to be ethically sourced and sympathetically farmed. And so he went back through everyone in his supply chain. Now, is that changing the world? No, it's not. But he says, you know what? My business, whatever I put in front of you is ethically sourced and it's sympathetically farmed. No animal suffered because you want to eat meat.
Yeah.
Right. And you can't believe the amount of people that say, you want to go work with Pip, the food's good. It's good food.
Yeah.
And when they say that means, it's come through the right supply chain. He knows all of his suppliers, amazing relationships, and the referrals he gets, guys come from America. You got to have Pip.
Yeah.
Well, what amazing food, but he just knows where the stuff, and people care about that stuff.
Oh, absolutely. It's like he's created his own blockchain.
Yes, yeah, he certainly has indeed. Yeah. Okay, so you don't have to change that world; you can change your world.
That's right, and that's my point: is you can change your world, which will impact the world anyway. It's like a domino effect. They're throwing the pebble into your pond; it'll send ripples to the other shore anyway. Right. So one last question before I surprise you with a surprise question. Oops, I just told surprise you. So prediction for the future. So, we work on business as a series of evolution. And whatever your business was 3 years ago may not be what your business is today, and what your business you need in the next 3 years may not be. So talk about, what do you see from your perspective? If do you see anything in terms of the future of work, future of leadership, future of organizations in the next 3 years? What are you going to give people advice about?
So I talk about this, whether I'm right or wrong is irrelevant, but it makes sense to me in what I'm seeing. Firstly, we're looking at what's happened since probably November last year, which is this pandemic COVID thing, which has changed a lot of the way. But honestly, a lot of this started 100 years ago, easily, right? Goes right back to the 1860s even, right? The way we've been working on the planet since the 1860s, right up to about 2004, was very transactional. And if, you mentioned Zig Ziglar and people like that. Zig came out of a pedigree. Where did he get his ideas? From guys who got their ideas from someone. There's a pedigree to ideas. But at the heart of it, a lot of it was about transaction, right? 2004, Facebook starts, and Zuckerberg makes it relational. And so since 2004, this is why your personal narrative has become more important, why you can't join my Facebook group unless I know you and trust you. And so personal story becomes really important. And if I was to give it one word of where we're going, it's become very relational, right? Well, it's become more relational. We want to know who you are. I wrote a thing, it's on my website, right? It's called Your Core Ideal, Your Big Message. Yeah. And it's really, what is the thing that drives your business? Because, there's a book by a guy called Jim Stengel called Grow, which you should read. Great book, because he talks about we buy from people when we understand what their values are. And I just took that and I elaborated on that. So I think where we're going is we're becoming more relational. When I ran my ad agency, mate, I said I pay performance fees, not attendance fees. Instead of having sickies, we had wellies. Right. Ring me up and say, Andrew, I feel too good to come to work today, right? Yeah. I said, that's fine. Take the day off. Don't say, I can't come to work. And then I drive down the street and I see you on the golf course, or I see you sitting in a pub somewhere. Yeah. Right. Just ring up and say, I feel too good to come to work. And in Australia, you've got to give them 5 days anyway. Well, what I found was my employees didn't take sickies, and they probably took 1 or 2 wellies, and it was a much better equation. I said, just be honest with me. So it was a very relational hub that we created. And I think the future going forward has got to be about relational. The thing about being online is whatever you're doing online gets amplified. Yeah. So if you're being snake oil, and you think, oh, I can trick people here, right? They won't see it. Trust me, they will see it. Yep. All of it. So there's no. Yeah. It's easy to. There's a whole bunch of other people who can jump online and go. You got it. Yeah. Yeah. I love that wellies versus sickies. When I used to lead an organization, a not-for-profit here, help people get apprenticeships and traineeships, and it was quite funny because I used to argue with some of the host employers, and it said, these kids, they take a sickie because the swell's up and they want to go surfing and and then they don't come to work, and it really screws things up, and I'm tired of apprentices. And I said, well, when you were a kid, did you want to go surf it? Yeah, of course I did. I wasn't allowed to. And I'm like, so because you weren't allowed to, they're not allowed to. And I said, well, what if you actually just said, hey guys, surf's up, you want to surf, okay, till 9 o'clock in the morning, as long as you're on the job site by 9 instead of 6 a.m. If you're here by 9 and you can work back to whatever time you need to work back, would you rather have them productive for 4 or 5 hours or for the full day, but knowing that they had a chance to go surfing when give them the opportunity. So, it's not going to happen every week, but otherwise you're going to lose them for the whole day anyway. Yeah, exactly. But at the heart of it is you're creating an honest culture, which somebody can ring up and say, this is what's really going on for me. The surf's up. I want to go. Yeah, no worries. Go surfing, man. That's good. Yeah. Or, in today's world, you could actually, especially now we know everybody can work from home, right? I had the not-for-profit set up where it was a mobilized workforce. So if our office manager had her child was sick, remote working great book. There's a series of everything we do here. Plug a little book that you've got a book for everything. That Chantel, she could go, and I said, look, just stay home, and she could get them online and do all the stuff. And so, and was she as productive as she might have been in the office? No, but you know what? She knew she could be at home. We cared about her as a human being and her children and her family. And hey, as long as you get these things done today, and if it means you're early or your daughter's sleeping or you're staying up, I don't care. Do it however you need to do, as long as it gets done. Yeah. And you don't. See, Yeah, I don't mind if a business has a commercial imperative. You know, this is the goals we've got to hit, right?
Yeah.
But you've got a lot of choices about how you want to be productive and how you want to hit those goals. I think the future of leadership to me has got to be, you know, we're looking for leaders who are more, or we say authentic. I hate throwing it there, but you know, more grounded and more personal, or more relatable. We're looking for relatable leadership, and you don't have to sacrifice toughness. I was a tough boss, right?
Yep.
People knew where they stood with me, right? But they never got it that it was malicious or somehow that I was distant from them or anything like that. They always felt there was a stewardship about what I was doing, right? And good stewardship, if you've been on the land like I have, you know, you looked after your cows. If my neighbour says, Andrew, can you look after my cows while I'm away on holiday? I'm going to return them in a better shape than when he gave them to me, right? That's stewardship. And I think we need that stewardship in leadership. But at the heart of that is, you know, your people. It's a lot more relatable. So I think for me, a big theme in leadership, you know, those big mining sites, Frank knew everybody.
Yeah.
You know, 600 mining sites, he just about knew everybody. It was very relatable, and everyone knew him. There was a great relationship. And the relationship there, the glue was trust.
Yeah.
Right? I can trust you. And they could trust what came out of it. So I think the future of leadership is not what are the tricks, because I got rid of all the tricks, and those tricks work, right?
Yep.
But there's things you can't deceive people in, and you people go, no, I don't want to work. No, we know the number one reason why people leave businesses now is because they don't like their boss.
That's right.
They love the company, just can't work with that person.
Yep.
Yeah. So that relationship, and to an extent, I'm seeing that hubs are important, and hubs and huddles are a big part. And so if we're going to work from home and online, huddles you've got to be more relational.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm seeing companies who are doing huddles twice a day, morning and afternoon.
Yep.
And their productivity is through the roof.
Yeah. And you know what? They're creating greater alignment, and everyone knows what everyone's working on. There's greater transparency. You know, it's quite amazing. And so the more deeper the relationship you can have with your team, you know, and get to understand them as human beings, because, you know, like my definition of leadership is about, you know, caring about them as human beings first, employees second. They have all goals, dreams, desires, hopes, and wishes as anyone else does. Yeah. They've chosen to trade off time for money to be a part of what you're doing. And, you know, and that's great. We need people who are willing to do that. But, you know,
and you know what? I don't mind if someone comes to work just because they want to support their family. Fine. Yeah. Nothing wrong with that.
No, but if we can make it the most amazing experience while they're doing that, even better.
You've got it.
You know, how hard is it really? I guess shameless book plug too then. So that's why I wrote that. Leadership is Simple.
Great book. Good book.
Thank you.
Hold it up again, mate, so people get it, because it's a long title.
Yeah, simplified. Yeah.
Simplified. Yeah, leadership is simple. You lead people. There you go.
Yeah. You know, and people,
mate. You know, if you're a leader and no one's following you, you're just going for a walk.
Yeah, absolutely. Mind you can be a leader in your industry that people don't know it yet.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Okay, so mate, here we are almost to the end. I always like to surprise my guests with one random question. So I have 31 random questions written here. You can pick a number from 1 to 31. You can ask why there's 31 if you want or not. That's up to you. But there is 31, and you get to pick any number, but you must answer the question.
Okay, number 8.
Number 8 with a bullet. Oh, what is your favorite quote of all time, and why?
Oh, that's a great. It
could be a clarism. With that.
It can be a clarism. Yeah. My favorite quote is, and I'm trying to remember it, but it's if. What's that one Henry Ford said? If you're right, if you're wrong, you're right. But if you're right, you're also right.
If you can do it, you're right. If you think you can't,
if you think you can do it, you're right. If you think you can't do it, you're also right, or something.
Yeah, that's correct.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Right. And to me, I always love that, because it goes to attitude. It goes to what I believe is possible. What is my choices? If you think you can do something, when people say they can't do something, right? Yeah. Can and can't is a permission word.
Yes.
I can't do that. It's actually, I'm not giving myself permission to. I can't do that. Not giving myself permission.
Yeah.
Right? Until they find they can. So if you think you can, you can. If you think you can't, you're also right. You know, I love that. No, I've always loved that quote. Yeah. Actually, my other one is this one. If it's a leadership one, is if you can't do someone a good turn, don't do them a bad one.
Yeah. Hey, that's a good one too. I love that. All right, mate. Thank you so much for joining us on the Evolution of Business. So there were so many nuggets here. I could try to keep up with writing them all down. But obviously that whole concept of dollars for lifestyle or lifestyle followed by dollars, very powerful. The whole values and purpose. You had me at hello when you started talking values and purpose. But making better choices and that distinction, not help. I think that was really powerful too. And thank you for sharing that. And I'm right on there with you. I think this shift from transactional to relational is powerful, and the power of purpose of organizations going forward. Because to me, purpose requires you to be honest about why you do what you do and who you do it for. And that, honesty then is what builds trust. Trust is the key to relationships, and relationships is the key to loyalty. And people will remain loyal to you. So when you put it out there and say, here's why we do what we do, and you don't live that, people will see it very quickly.
Yeah, boom, game over. Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to sneak this in, Dave, because this is so important to me, right?
Yep.
I love The Simpsons.
Yeah.
I love The Simpsons, right? Always gives me a laugh. But I think we've had 30 years of men believing they've grown up in the subconscious that leadership, as Homer Simpson as a leader, right? I'm a little bit tired of that. The world needs good leaders, men and women.
Yeah.
But I work with a lot of men. We need a lot of good men leaders who've got their heart in the right place, right? The world needs good leaders right now, right? We need good leaders. And we don't need, to me, the Homer Simpson generation, where men are irresponsible and they go off and they do stupid things. It's amusing, but you know what? There's a lot of serious stuff going forward that needs to happen. And I need, when I work with people, I need you to step up.
Yeah.
I need you to know your values. I need you to go serious on something and say, what change do I want to make? And start with the leadership in your own family, right? Be the leader in your own family, in your own unit, male or female, right?
Yeah.
But we need great leaders. We need very good leaders wherever you are. Lead where you stand. But we need good leaders right now.
Yeah, absolutely, mate. Most of what we call leadership in the world is just modern management practices anyway. I mean, leadership is broken. It's in crisis mode. So I support you in what you're saying there. Male and female, we need just better leaders. And get back to the
head of
people.
My charity director, mate, has led through COVID, right? I say, oh, can I take credit as chairman? No, I got out of the way. I let her do what she wanted to do, right? She led an amazing team through COVID, where we're looking after the welfare of children. It's called Clear Sky Children's Charity in the UK. Yeah. Clear Sky Children's Charity. She's led a team of 151 people through lockdown, where we're still providing services that look after the welfare of children in this country, right? That's leadership.
Yeah, 100%.
Right? Great leadership, really good, and really unassuming, quiet, but we got the job done. And I'm proud as chairman to say that team, the way she led that team is just phenomenal. Her name's Anna Hodgson. She's on LinkedIn.
Good. I was going to hope you were going to give her a plug, because to me, and this is the, and I wrote about it in my book, is like a lot of the leaders some of the greatest leaders in the world, most people will never know who they are. Only the people who have had the privilege to serve side by side with them.
And it is a privilege.
Yeah, 100%. And so we always hear about the big famous, celebrity type entrepreneurs and leaders, but there's the people in the trenches like the Annas of the world who are actually the ones making the biggest actual difference. And
unbelievably so. And we've just created a game where she can shine, which is brilliant.
Yeah. Fantastic. Yeah. So where can people get hold of you, find out about you, socials, whatever? What's the best place for them to go?
Easy place is LinkedIn. I mean, I'm on LinkedIn if people want to contact me, or andrewpriestley.com, and it's like the Jason Priestley. It's L-E-Y, right? Okay. So Jason Priestley used to say it's L-E-Y. That's why you can't find me. You're leaving the E out of my name, right? Yeah. But it's Jason Priestley, L-E-Y, andrewpriestley.com. There's a lot of it's a no fuss website. There's not many bells and whistles. The resource section's a good place to look. There's some good stuff in there.
All right, mate. Thank you so much for joining us on the Evolution of Business show, mate.
Yeah,
it's always been a privilege to have you in my life, and I do look to you as a mentor for myself as well. So thank you for that, and mate, keep up the great work, and I'm sure we'll be doing some more stuff together in the future, without a doubt.
Yeah, easy peasy. That's good stuff, mate. And listen, thank you for having me as a guest on the show, and thanks, guys, for listening. I really appreciate it. Don't walk, run to Dave, okay?
Yeah, please. Thanks.